The human brain is like a supercomputer. I mean, it controls everything about us. And yet there's still so much to learn about the brain. As a neurosurgeon, I actually could teach you a little bit about the brain if you'd like to learn. And what I want to do is show you the lobes of the brain and what they do. Let's start with the frontal lobe. So the frontal lobe, obviously it's in the front part of the brain, but what it's in charge of is our executive functions. It's things like our reasoning, our decision making, making right and wrong decisions. That's what the frontal lobe does. And also in the back of the frontal lobe, this red area, that's called the motor cortex. And that's the part of the brain that controls our movement of our face, of our arm, of our leg on the opposite side of the body. Injury to the frontal lobe can result in things like impulsiveness, personality changes, poor decision making. One of the first well-documented cases of frontal lobe injury was a guy named Phineas Gage. He worked on the railroad. He had a railroad spike go right up through his frontal lobe, out the top of his skull. He survived, but he was never the same person. He became very volatile. He didn't make good decisions anymore, became kind of disheveled, it sounds like, and it just had a whole personality change. The next lobe is called the parietal lobe. It's this gray area. And what it's predominantly in charge of is our spatial orientation, how we sense ourselves in the world, but also it's in charge of sensation, to feel things on our body, in our face, our arm, or leg. That's due to the parietal lobe, and specifically this blue area is called the sensory cortex. So that's the part of the brain, if you damage that, you can lose sensation or feel numb in your face, your arm, or one side of your body. In the very back of the brain is this beige colored area called the visual cortex. And so your visual cortex is just what it sounds like. It's in charge of our vision. It allows us to interpret what we see in our world. And so if you have a stroke in the back of your brain or an injury to this part of the brain, you can have what's called cortical blindness, meaning light will still come in through your eyes and visual information will come in through your eyes. But when it reaches that part of the brain, your brain can't interpret it because it's damaged. And so basically you're blind. The next lobe is called the temporal lobe. That's this yellow area. It's kind of located right here behind your cheek area, behind your ear. It's a part of the brain that's primarily known for memory formation. And what happens is, if you have damage to this lobe, you certainly can have trouble forming memories or trouble with recalling memories. If it's on the left side of your brain that gets damaged, typically there's a speech center there. And so you can have trouble actually with your speech as well. And lastly is what I would call the fifth lobe. Some people don't consider it a true lobe, but it's called your cerebellum. It's in the bottom of our brain in the back. And what the cerebellum is in charge of is coordination, fine motor movements like me tapping my fingers. When I'm walking, my balance, it keeps us steady. And so, if the cerebellum is damaged,